Yeah, man, this is a little workout area and stuff. You know, an old guy gotta kind of try to stay in some kind of shape. So these are some of my little kung fu weapons. And
What's the wooden thing over there?
oh, this right here, this is called a muk jong, the wooden man, and it's like we do like basically different kind of exercises and stuff. And it's here, and you open it up. Different kind of techniques and stuff that we do on that thing right there. Less people know we got a life, you know.
Right. Exactly. Who are some of the other founders of the Inglewood family?
Yeah, Petey Wheat, Wallace, Billy, Wesley, Eddie, Magoo, I want to say T-Bone was around, Big Ed. When we actually sat down and came up with the name family, there weren't that many of us there at that time or that day that, you know, we came up with the name and the name change. I think at the time when we did this, I believe Jan was away in I'm not sure if he was at camp then or factory Booker's or whatever that is, the Red House or whatever. But you had those of us that were there right then, and then you had brothers like Dirty Red and Clayton and Sir Ron and the whole crew from 77th Street. And so it kind of started out as a small seed and then spread a little bit within the neighborhood.
When did the Inglewood family start identifying with the red handkerchiefs?
Probably somewhere between 74 and 76. I had a picture one time. I know me and my homeboy Nasty Ed, we had went to Western Surplus and we had red beanies on, red suspenders, khaki suits, crocus act. So probably somewhere between 74 and 76. And also people probably don't remember this unless you're an older brother from our neighborhood. We had these things that coats, and we called them family coats, and they had like a grayish kind of fur around the collar, and the rest of the coat was made like a red and black Pendleton. And we had, it was probably 20 or 30 of us that had those coats that really kind of identified us as a neighborhood, and we used to call the coats family coats. So I'm going to say somewhere between 74 and 76.
What made you want to start or join a gang?
It's hard to say, but it's I was never a kind of just a straight and narrow kid. I was always getting into something. I know I started getting high at an early age, probably around 13 years of age. And for us, we didn't have rappers, but we had gangster movies, The Godfather and The Family, or James Cagney or Eddie Robinson, or I forget what the guy's name was. We had the gangster movies and everything. So, kind of, maybe being infatuated with the gangster thing. And then when the black gang started, a lot of people don't remember, but like the only radio station in LA at that time was like KGFJ, and what KGFJ would do, they would give you a running battle, like, well, the Crips and the Pyru had a shootout at Centennial High School today, or the Crips and the Brims had a shootout at Manual Arts High School today. So actually, I think when I lived on the east side, I was starting to gravitate to that, and I've mentioned before that I was around when the Swans started forming. So I think that it was kind of just in my DNA maybe, and also feeling like the reputation that the Crips had at that time, the non-Crip gangs were actually, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but were seen as the good guys, because the Crips had the reputation of jumping on people and taking leather coats and, turning parties out. So I think those are some of the factors that influenced me to join a gang. And also, right around the time that I did start gang banging, my father had just died, and really not having solid direction or a family structure kind of paved the way for me to get way off track.
I know a lot of other gangs claim to have been approached by Raymond Washington or other Crips to turn Crips. Was Inglewood family ever approached by any Crips to become Crips?
Not that I know of.
Okay. What hangout spots did you guys hang out back in the days?
My house on 76th Street had a neighbor's house we used to hang out at. We hung out at the Park Circle, the Big Circle, a lot. Darby Park. Sometimes Ladera Park. Rogers Park. Where else? All up and down, probably like 76th Street. Hung out on 77th Street some. 7th Avenue up at Eddie's house. 2nd Avenue at Wallace's house. That's pretty much. And also at one time I had a apartment on Pico and Crenshaw, and that was headquarters for a while. Had a spot, Petey Wheat had a spot over on 81st, I think, and between Main and Broadway, which that kind of put us in touch with some other Swans that I really hadn't known or met when I grew up. So we kind of went where we wanted to go, and so we were all over.
Was there any areas where you deemed out of bounds?
Well, I would say there are places like, let's say for instance, that the Rosecrans skating rink, it's going to be Crip down if you go up there. So if you go to the Rosecrans skating rink, you're not looking really to go up in there to skate or nothing like that. You're going up there for some kind of trouble. Of course, Centinela Park wasn't a place where, we could just post up to maybe have a picnic or something like that at that time, because that would have been a automatic incident, right then and there. So we went up there to turn the park out, from time to time, but never really at that time actually picnicking up there or kicking it up there.
What did you guys do as a family for fun?
Oh man, parks, the beach, might, Hollywood, cruising in Hollywood. House parties, lots of house parties, picnics, at the beach, MacArthur Park, Griffith Park. Basically, there were a lot of things to do, I guess, within Inglewood as well. So it made it less of a need for us to really have to go out of the neighborhood to have a lot of fun or whatever. We had a lot of fun right in the neighborhood.
Did you guys have a lot of female members, or did you guys just have women?
I would say, the girlfriends, that those of us that were gang banging, you could say that they were attached to what we were doing. And really there were a few that I would say were out there that, were kind of on the gang bang side as well. One a lot of people don't talk about, Lady PJ, was really, really down. I mean, she was a fun sister. She looked out for a lot of us, and was, just like the sister of the neighborhood, and she would put in some work if need be. You had maybe Danny Dew, Sherelle. Then you had some of the other sisters, Lady V, Stella, Sean, the Duns, and I know some of them too were involved with. They had a little set. I think they called themselves the Madam West Siders or something like that. And I don't. I want to say they may have been at Crenshaw or something like that, and some of them were from LA, some of them from Inglewood. So I mentioned before that, yeah, you have a lot of things that happen to the sisters in the neighborhood that were around us, that they were affected by this whole gang thing as much as the brothers were affected by it. And when you start bringing in the drugs and that kind of thing, I think a lot of people kind of got off the path or whatever. And so definitely there were female members, and I think it's more so now than really that we had in our day. I think the ladies that have come up in the other generations and stuff like that were a lot harder and more active in terms of their gang banging and stuff than the ladies from my era.
Do you guys have a problem with the generation after generation producing the next generation?
I think that's evident everywhere that maybe once things start growing and the gang kind of outgrows the founders, and it outgrows maybe what it was intended to be from the outset, and I'm sure that, we say the same thing about these youngsters that older people were saying about us. These young people, how we sell, these youngsters are crazy. They don't want to listen to anybody. They don't have the structure or the discipline. They ain't showing no respect or this or that. And I think sometimes, older brothers are at fault because you having a lot of instances where the drugs, kind of wiped a lot of older dudes out, kind of they basically turn you into a cream puff.